Pictures from our vacation. Let's both do cannonballs by Lynne Rae Perkins. It is a 3.5 AR level. I really like this book. Pictures from our vacation. Here they all go to pack the car, and it's interesting to see everyone has an idea of what they think the vacation might be like. Just before we got in the car to go on vacation, our mother said, "Oh, I almost forgot." From her bag, she pulled out a little camera for me and one for my brother. The camera took tiny pictures that shot out right away. We could watch the pictures appear, then peel off the back and stick them on something. My mom gave us notebooks to stick them in. Then they will be our souvenirs, she said. I took my first picture by mistake. There she is taking a picture. Oh boy, this is a big map of where they're going. We were going to an old family farm. No one lived at the farm anymore, but our grandparents were spending the summer there and we were going to visit them. The old farm was far away and it would take a long time to drive there, but we had our bags filled with things we could do, and when we ran out, we could always look out the window. Here is a picture. There was not anything to look at out there. Once in a while, there was a bridge or some cows. After a while, I saw an orange truck with the word yellow on it. And I saw a sign for a motel that had a red roof. I decided if I had a motel, I would call it the Blue Motel. Here she is in the car imagining what her blue motel would be like. People would be surprised when they opened the door and went inside. By the time I stopped thinking about the Blue Motel, it was dark and we were looking for a real motel. Here's your imagination. The Blue Motel. It would be the kind of motel that has separate cottages. On the outside, they would all be blue, but inside each one would be different. The jungle cottage would have hammocks. The shower would be a waterfall. There would be a sun cottage. The bed would glow like the sun, but you could turn it off at night. Maybe the lampshades would have clouds on them that would spin around the sun, sometimes slow, sometimes fast. There would be heat in the carpet. You would need to wear sunblock in there. There would be a cottage where the whole wall would be an aquarium with real fish. Maybe it would have sand on the floor and buckets and shovels. At night, you could build a bonfire, but just a small one. The flower garden cottage would have real green grass. There would be a moon cottage, all silvery and deep blue, and a star cottage. The real motel was called the Shangri-La. The sign said it had a pool. There was a pool, but it didn't have water in it. The second day was almost exactly the same as the first day, except for that lunch we stopped at a place where you could get gravy on your French fries. And except at the end of the day, we drove up the driveway to the farm. Our dad saw happy memories everywhere he looked. All we could see was old furniture and dust. Our mom said, "Let's play badminton." The rackets were shaped like potato chips because they had been left in the barn for so long. We played for about a minute and it started to rain. We ran to the house to wait for the rain to pass over. But it rained for days. No one could believe how much it was raining. Our grandmother said it hadn't rained for weeks. The television got 3 channels. The striped channel, the channel that showed what you could watch if you had a better TV, and the French channel. "Where's the English Channel?" my brother asked. "Between England and France," said Grandfather. Our mother explained how this was a joke. My brother took these pictures of me. We thought it might never stop raining, but then it did. "Let's go swimming," said our dad. He knew about a secret swimming spot. He used to go there all the time with his cousins. We parked the car behind an old apple stand and headed for the secret spot. The secret path was even more secret than our dad remembered. "This was never here before," he said. "But don't worry, it's a big lake. There will be all kinds of places to swim." So we hiked back to our car and drove around to look for one. We drove and drove, but we didn't even see a lake. Maybe we went the wrong way. There's the lake. Here's their path from the farm to where they're going to stop. Look at that cool park. There's a hill. They tried to walk through right here. That didn't work. All right, it says, "We stopped at a park where there was hills that had been built by people in ancient times. They built them so that from the sky they looked like a giant sculpture of a serpent. It was a mystery how they did that without being able to see it from the sky. We couldn't see it from the we couldn't see it from the sky either. From the earth, the hills just looked like hills." Our mother went off to ask for directions. We watched a squirrel eat noodles from a Chinese food container that someone had left on the ground. This is a hill. Maybe from the sky it looks like a snake. There was a squirrel here, but he ran away. We got in the car again, but it didn't feel like we would ever get to the lake or anywhere else. And then suddenly, there it was. Some people were putting their boats in the water and they wanted their dog to go with them. Every time they were ready to go, the dog jumped out of their boat and swam away. "Jessie," they shouted. "Jessie, come." Jessie wouldn't come. They had to get out and wait after him or her. It happened over and over. We watched them for a while and then we ran all the way out to the end of the dock. A family was fishing out there. A mother and father and a boy. They smiled and said hi, but then they spoke in another language. They seemed excited. We thought they were telling us all about their fish they were catching. "There's a lot of fish," we said. "No," said the boy. He spoke in English. "They're saying that a storm is coming. Look," he pointed, and we saw it was true. Whoa, the storm came up so fast we barely made it to the gazebo in the middle of the dock. I asked our dad if our next vacation we could go someplace like Disney World. Did we leave the windows open in the car? Have to run for the car. I asked our mom, "Can we do something fun tomorrow?" She said, "Well, actually, we have a memorial service." "What's a memorial service?" I asked her. "It's kind of a church service," she said. "Do I have to wear a dress?" I asked. "Yes," she said, "you do." There she is in her dress. I was thinking that this was turning out to be a stupid vacation. My brother said there were cars coming up the driveway, a lot of cars. Voices started to float up through the grate in the floor. Then everyone went to church, including us. "How long has it been? So good to see you again. How was the drive?" Inside, the church was pink. The church service was about our dad's great aunt Charlotte, who had died a while ago. She had been old. Everyone still missed her and they wanted to tell stories about her. How when she was young, she learned to fly an airplane when hardly any woman did that. She chained herself to a big old tree that was going to be bulldozed, and how before she died, she said, "It's been a long journey." I whispered to our dad that Aunt Charlotte sounded interesting. He whispered back that she was a little bit ornery. "Like you," he said. It turned out that practically everybody who was there was related to us somehow. Even some people I'd never met before. We all went back to the farm. This is a really good dessert that we invented. I didn't take pictures that day. We climbed some trees. Or take any pictures the next day. Everybody had a story about poison ivy. Watch out, it's everywhere. Our cousins found an insect called a walking stick. Looks like they had a great time. At night, while we were falling asleep, some light and a lot of talking came up through the grate. This is a grate. It's a vent in the floor to downstairs in the heater. Everyone had to leave after a few days, but even when they did, the old house didn't feel empty the way it had at first. Now she has memories from it. In the car, I took out my notebook and looked at the pictures. These don't remind me much of our vacation, I said. My brother took out his notebook too. Mine either, he said. You should make sure there's a person in the pictures, said our dad. Pictures are always more interesting if there's a person in them. I think you were having too much fun to stop and take pictures, said Mom. Maybe we need better cameras, I said. I looked out the window. There was a big electrical tower alongside the highway. I took pictures of them. In the picture, they looked like electric towers. In my mind, they looked like giant robots marching across the earth, carrying electricity along in their hands. It's probably hard to take a picture that shows that, even with a really good camera. And it's hard to take a picture of a story because someone tells, or what it feels like when you're rolling down a hill or falling asleep in a house full of cousins and uncles and aunts. There are a lot of things like that. But those kind of pictures I can keep in my mind.